Other interesting political news, you have a Holocaust survivor reacting to Kamala Harris comparing Donald Trump to Adolf Hitler. Now this comes to Clay Travis, says, quote, 91-year-old Auschwitz camp Holocaust survivor and Trump voter calls out Kamala for comparing Trump to Hitler. This is powerful. Share it. Which, wow, 94 years old. Say one thing, men were built tougher back then. Jeez Louise.
My name is Jerry Wartsky. I'm 94 years old and survivor of Auschwitz and the death marches. Adolf Hitler invaded Poland when I was 9 years old. He murdered my parents and most of our family. I know more about Hitler than Kamala will ever know in 1,000 lifetimes. For her to accuse President Trump of being like Hitler is the worst thing I've ever heard in my 75 years living in the United States. I know President Trump, and he would never say this, and Kamala Harris knows this. She owes my parents and everybody else who was murdered by Hitler an apology for repeating this lie.
Why should the Jewish people support President Trump?
Because he's a mensch. I believe that President Trump is definitely going to be good for Israel, because in everything that he's done up to now was in favor. He never double-crossed anyone, and he never showed any weakness. Watching President Trump pray for the hostages at the Ohel and getting to spend time with him so meaningful. He has always stood with the Jewish people and the state of Israel.
Heartbreaking and very touching, and of course he did, not of course, but he also did show his tattoo, where they gave him the numbers from their concentration camps, where yeah, those numbers actually, morbid business fact of the day, come from IBM with the punch card technologies. Yeah, one of the most horrific and also technological interesting books is IBM and the Holocaust by Edwin Black. It is one of the most complex, well, in terms of business orchestration books I've read in my lifetime, but it's very thorough. And yeah, those numbers in terms of, you know, who did the census to find out who they were and then organize, you know, logistically where the trains, all that was on punch card technology. And it's wow, it's, yeah, to see, there's something about seeing those numbers on that arm that's still to this day, it's horrifying. It's got, again, 1.5 million views as well as 48,000 likes. And one of the top comments, I follow him, but it's a leftist, Keith Aloha, who, again, the one time it is appropriate to have an emoji in your name, perhaps. His name is Keith Aloha, and it's a palm tree. And go his profile as a, you know, famous leftist. Well, famous, he's got 18,000 followers. Describes himself as cliche, vote blue, animal lover, pro-choice, never Trump. Although if he was really an animal lover, shouldn't he care about the dogs being eaten? They're eating the dogs, they're grilling the cats. I'm only partially kidding. But he, again, in true leftist fashion, does not address the substance of the post. He just says, remember November 5th, the choice is clear. Trump has an enemy list like a weak bully. Kamala has a to-do list for all Americans. Yeah, why hasn't she done anything? Of course, no one responded to him, but again, that's one of the first, you know, comments, because I do follow him and try to get some diversity of thought and don't want to be an echo chamber. But yeah, okay, Keith. Now, one of the first real comments comes from MAGA Hombre saying, quote, incredibly powerful, invoking Hitler is disgusting in Kamala's handlers, and Kamala should be ashamed of themselves, perhaps, or Hitler is perhaps the worst human who has ever lived. Getting 269 likes, which is definitely up there. People don't talk about Stalin enough. I mean, there's, geez, the number of people, number of his own people, then of course Mao, yeah, it's horrifying. Erica Kaiser says this is beyond repulsive to say Trump, a man who hasn't killed anyone, is Hitler, a man who is responsible for killing millions of Jews, getting 694 likes. Just the Guy says, after watching this, any politician / media personality that calls Trump Hitler again should be tried for treason and deported to Canada, getting 511 likes, which in the U.S. we do have an issue. We do have a, well, is a part of our culture, part of the Bill of Rights. We are against cruel and unusual punishment. I venture to say that deporting someone to Canada, that would be the definition of cruel and unusual punishment. I mean, that dictator Trudeau running that country, and all the, yeah, the lack of rights over there, the overuse of maple syrup, and having all, you know, constantly vigilant about the beavers and mooses attacking you. I mean, going to Canada, that's a little too far. No one should be deported there. And again, we also have freedom of speech to be able to say whatever you want. It's all, I think, it's visually disgusting to compare Trump to that. And now people on the right do compare, Kamala to communism. They call her Commie Kamala. She wants to control prices, ban guns, and of course she censored us, which she actually has done some of those things. But none of them are comparing her to Hitler. A lot of them are comparing. I think there's maybe semantics, but to me, there's a little delineation. The differences comparing someone's policies to compare the person to the person. So to me, I think it's different to say, this policy was used by the bad guys for World War II. I think that's different than just saying they're the guy for World War II. And we look at who has had the policies most similar when it comes to gun confiscations, like that. I think that those analogies are more appropriate. And I also think it's ineffective from, the Democrat, move on the political chessboard, so to say. Because they've been calling Trump Hitler for, 10 years now? And shoot, they've been using that mantra since, Bush was in office. They've been doing that for decades. It's not good because it kind of dilutes in terms of kind of like crying wolf. And it's just lost all meaning. Very similar to, everyone was really concerned about being called a racist, years ago. That word has been used so many times, it's basically lost all meaning, where now it's just, they brush it off. Which is good because, in the United States, it is much more rare these days, but when it doesn't come up, it should be socially addressed. Now, let's see. Fight with Memes, who does in fact respond in meme form, good name. Fight with Memes says, quote, "The constant comparisons to Hitler are so childish, it's exhausting, it's disrespectful, and it's untrue." And it's, what is it? Was it Bill Murray? Is it Groundhog Day? It says, Trump is literally Hitler today, again, getting 17 likes. Thomas Lundy says Kamala's rhetoric is literally out of control, getting 68 likes, which is funny. The same day that Obama says, how is our country getting so divided? Then Kamala does this. Let's see. Do one or two more. Stop Socialist Tyranny says, quote, "Kamala comparing Trump to Hitler. Ironically, the real authoritarianism today comes from woke brigade weaponizing the government. Even survivors see through this madness. History teaches, guess some skipped class, getting 155 likes. Or perhaps in their defense, they went to public schools in the United States, which, again, have a 32-year low ACT score. The teachers are very much busy teaching about gender ideology and other things. Not all the time, but I can't help but see the more and more mounting evidence. Let's see here. Mike Lund, interesting picture, says, quote, "Thanks, Clay. Listened to you in your broadcast today and just reposted this. Democrats always name call when they get desperate. The Hitler Nazi fascist is a time-honored tradition of Democrats when they have nothing else to offer." Looks like they have a little picture compilation of everyone they've called Nazis throughout the years. Which, let me pull up. Well, let's see here. I'm trying to zoom in a second here so I can make it easier, a little bit more legible for me to read. It looks like, yeah, they've called everyone. The Barry Goldwater, Richard Nixon, Gerald Ford, Ronald Reagan, George W. Bush, Mitt Romney, Paul Ryan, and Donald Trump. Which, yeah, they seem to be very lazy in terms of just copy-pasting the same rhetoric time and time and time again. Well, I guess specifically time and time and time and time and time and time and time again and time again. So not too many contrary comments here. Now, that being said, I wonder how much this will reinvigorate her voting base to vote for her, get out the vote. Will it win over some independents? Well, I don't suspect it'll do much for independent voters, personally. But yeah, let me know your thoughts. It's kind of it's just cliche. I've been doing it so often, but do you think that's still an effective move on the political chessboard? Do you think more and more people are becoming irate and just either ignoring it or critiquing her even more for bringing it up? Let me know what your thoughts are, because as always, be fascinating to hear what you have to say. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in. Again, trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the month, so if you can click that button, I greatly appreciate it. Also, give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, or comment. It's a great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know I can make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe, fight the good fight.